Moving to question 14, I call on the Honourable Member for Douglas Central, Mr Thomas.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I would beg leave to ask the Minister for Policy and Reform when the next census will take place and if he will make a statement about the process.
I call on the Minister for Policy and Reform to reply.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The date of the census will be Sunday, April 25th, 2021. As recommended in the 2016 Isle of Man Census Project Review, the 21 census is planned to be digital by default. That is to say, an online form will be the default means for making a return, with alternative methods being available on request. Alternatives to the online form include a telephone interview, a visit by a census officer, or a paper form. By making such alternatives available, we hope to compensate for any accessibility issues that an online form may present to some households, while maximising the number of returns that are made online.
Supplementary question, Mr Thomas.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Another of the recommendations back in that excellent June 2017 document about doing the next census was that the process should begin earlier and that the Post Office should be engaged 6 months before, November 2015, as it was engaged last time. Local authorities should be engaged, people should be engaged to carry out the work. Does the Minister not worry that we're starting all of this too late for the census on 25th of April 2021? A bad census would be worse, surely, than a delayed census.
Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. No, I'm not worried. The census will go ahead.
Supplementary question, Mr Collister.
And thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his reply this morning. Given the fact that the census in 2021 will be digital, can I ask the Minister why it will take over a year for it actually to be published, and will he consider publishing that data sooner, given the fact that he'll have the information a lot quicker this time round?
Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's anticipated that the adoption by digital by default model will significantly reduce the time needed to produce the census results. However, as we're employing an entirely new system and an operational model for the 21 census, and furthermore, we do not know how many households will use the online form, we're not in a position to estimate how long it will take to validate and process all of the data for collation and analysis.
Supplementary question, Mr Thomas.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. In England, Wales and Northern Ireland, the census has been delayed by a year. It has also in the Republic of Ireland. The UK has a target for the one-year delayed census of 75% online completion of the census 2022. Does the Isle of Man Treasury have a target for online completion? Secondly, does the Minister worry that digital by default could sacrifice social inclusion and that the census might be grossly inaccurate, given the assumption that's already being made that everybody will complete, and nearly everybody will be completing this online rather than using the old-fashioned return by post or canvassing, which don't seem to have been organised as yet?
Minister to reply.
Thank you. As the Honourable Member will be aware, the United Kingdom, Wales, Scotland and so forth are in a completely different position in terms of the COVID pandemic. Obviously, there was a delay, but they're not in the position where they're still in a position where obviously having people going door to door is a bigger problem. We don't have that at the moment. Obviously that's always, that could change depending on what happens here. As I said before, alternatives to the online form include a telephone interview, a visit by the census officer, or a paper form. And so there are a number of different forms. And as the Vice Chair of the Post Office, I can confirm that the Post Office will remain a crucial partner in the upcoming census in the digital by default. Obviously, it will have a reduced role as compared to how previous censuses, and the Post Office's role will largely consist of printing and delivering all necessary correspondence and any census forms that may be requested, and notifying the census officers of instances where it's been impossible to deliver to a particular address and providing reasons for it. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Final supplementary, Mr Thomas.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And it's important to admit mistakes when you've made mistakes. Perhaps it was even a deliberate mistake on my part, but England and Wales won't actually be delaying the census. England and Wales are going ahead with the census in 2021. It's only actually Scotland and Ireland that are delaying it, although the UK is still considering the delay. The question to the Honourable Minister is, I'm not sure that the Post Office is actually aware of its role in the forthcoming census, and it's definitely the recommendation in the review in 2017 was that the Post Office should be engaged 12 months before the census took place. The first question, when will the Post Office be engaged? The second point is that the Post Office's role was to handle returns, to include mail opening and scanning, to capture data from the census forms and data hosting, to provide the questionnaire tracking software, to store the census forms. How will all of those functions be carried out, given that the Post Office hasn't yet really been engaged in the process?
Minister to reply.
Thank you. I'm very happy to engage with the Vice Chair of the Post Office on all of these matters.
Please like and subscribe to the Isle of Man TV channel. Thank you.